guys, I thought I'd show you just a few of the things I'm working on today. I have my little box of eye making stuff, and in here I have the different mica powders I use for the different eye colors and the different clays and such. Here we go, that's what I was looking for. This is a glasses on type of job. But I found these little coasters that I like to stick in the oven. This little thing is a little bit, I got it sitting on my couch, got a little bit of fluff on it. But I'm just doing the funnest part of making eyes, which is adding the cornea. And this is just a UV resin that you just put under a UV lamp for about 10 minutes or so, and it will set up. But so what I do when I do this is just kind of spread it out as I go. I keep getting drops from my little canister, and I have these little canisters that I sell on my shop that are UV proofs. They're blackened out so you can keep smaller amounts in these little containers. I find in the big bottles of it, it always hardens up. Like they only last, they have a really short shelf life, so I prefer to buy in bulk and share it with you guys, because these little containers will do hundreds of eyes. So it really doesn't take very much. But anyway, I just take a drop. If it ends up being quite a big drop, then I will spread that drop onto several of them. And I get many of them going at once, and I'll be coming back to the ones that I've started. It's just I found if there's gonna be air bubbles or anything like that, it usually takes them just a minute or so to kind of settle and show up. So I like to have them sit for a little bit before I go back over and look at them and see. And that's usually the main thing. I've learned to set the resin on quite gently, so I typically don't get air bubbles very often, but sometimes I do, and who knows why they show up. But if they do show up, I will usually take, I can even use this tool because it's so sharp as a needle tip. But any needle or pin is really good for going through those air bubbles. And rather than popping them, it's more like, well, it looks like I've got one right here. It's more like I will drag it to the surface and down the side of the eye. That's typically what I will do with them because, you know, it's such a tiny bubble, it's hard to get a hold of the little air bubble and let alone pop it. So we just move it out of the way so it's not going to be in the iris, because that's when they really show up. And even when you do have an air bubble, it'd be so tiny. It's just a lot of times with these dolls, we don't look at them so closely when we're holding them ourselves, but we'll take photos of them. They're super close up. And that's when you'd end up seeing an air bubble in an eye. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't even notice. But we like to have things be as perfect as possible. So I'm just going through, and I try to put the same amount on each eye so the lens is the same size. So it just kind of depends how big the drop was that I picked up of how many eyes I try to do with that. Like that was kind of a big drop. There's another big drop too. But what I also like to do is, before I'm, ready to set them with the UV lamp, I will look at this tray of eyes from the side. And that way I can see how big the corneas are, basically. And then I can make adjustments to any of them. And if they're too big, I'll just go ahead and put my tool, just dip it in the eye, and then dip it into one that has less, kind of like that sort of thing. I'll dip it into the ones that have a little bit more and move them over to ones that don't have any or much on them. And that helps to redistribute the resin well. Here's what it looks like sideways, like I was showing you, or telling you about. You can see how some are a little bit bigger than others. But for the most part, these are all pretty similar. Just gonna give them a once over and then stick them in under the lamp. All right, so anyway, that's pretty much the basic process. I'll hold this up so you can get a better look. They are awesome. This is our emerald color, and it's the fairy size. These are about 6 millimeters in width, and the iris is about 3 millimeters wide. So they work great for the fairy art dolls especially. Anyway, we make and sell eyes like this at makingfairies.com, so you can save you the time and hassle and worry about how to do it and just have it done right. And then if you would like to learn how to make these yourself, we also have a DVD that has how to make these eyes plus how to sculpt a fairy face as well on there. So I'll link to both of those in the description area below. Hope you enjoyed that. Take care.